congratulate Rory. They showed tremendous courage. He was having a hard time.
Most famous person you played golf with?
Donald Trump, probably at the minute. There's not many more famous than that.
Right now?
Right now.
Yeah.
Picture this. Tom Watson stands at a microphone calling out the most powerful golfer on earth, while Donald Trump sinks another putt at his own course, claiming victory. 7 of the biggest names in professional golf decided they had seen enough. They broke the unwritten rule of the sport. They spoke up, and what they said changed everything. Golf has always been different from other sports. It polices itself. Players call their own penalties. Your word is your bond. When you shake hands at the end of a round, it means something. But when Donald Trump became president, something shifted. The man who owned courses and hosted majors suddenly had more power than anyone in the history of the game. And some players could not stay silent anymore. These 7 golfers risked their careers and their reputations. They called out cheating. They demanded moral accountability. They walked away from money and access. Some even received death threats. Their stories reveal a civil war inside the sport that most fans never knew existed. Let me take you inside the battle that split golf down the middle. Suzanne Pettersen is not someone who backs down. The Norwegian star won 2 major championships and earned respect across the entire LPGA Tour. She knew Donald Trump socially for years. They played golf together, they were friendly. But in early 2018, she told a newspaper back home something that sent shockwaves through the golf. Trump cheats like hell. She did not stop there. Pettersen explained exactly how it worked. She said Trump pays his caddies well, so no matter where he hits the ball, it always ends up in the middle of the fairway. Think about that for a second. Caddies are supposed to be the guardians of the game. They help you follow the rules. But according to Pettersen, Trump turned them into accomplices. She said he does not care about what actually happens on the course. He only cares about what the scorecard says at the end. And if the scorecard says he won, then he won. Reality does not matter. Pettersen tried to soften her comments later. She blamed translation issues and said things got taken out of context. But the damage was done. That phrase, cheats like hell, became the defining description of Trump's relationship with golf. It confirmed what people had whispered about for years. And it came from someone who had actually played with him. The impact of her revelation went beyond just Trump's personal reputation. It raised questions about the entire culture around celebrity golf. How many other powerful people were getting away with bending the rules because nobody wanted to risk calling them out? Pettersen opened a door that the golf establishment desperately wanted to keep closed. She showed that loyalty and friendship have limits when integrity is on the line. What made her comments even more devastating was the specificity. This was not vague gossip or secondhand rumors. Pettersen described a system. She painted a picture of calculated manipulation rather than innocent mistakes. In golf, there is a difference between accidentally breaking a rule and deliberately constructing a scheme to avoid them. Pettersen accused Trump of the latter. The golf world had to reckon with an uncomfortable truth. One of their own, a champion with nothing to gain from lying, had gone on record with an accusation that would ruin anyone else's standing in the sport. But Trump was not anyone else. He had the presidency. He had billions of dollars. He had courses that hosted major championships. And Pettersen knew all of that when she decided to speak anyway. Her willingness to go public sent a message to other players. The code of silence was not absolute. You could speak truth to power and survive, but it also revealed the isolation that comes with taking that stand. Pettersen became a reference point for every future discussion about Trump and golf. Her name would forever be linked to that single devastating phrase. If you are enjoying this deep dive into the truth behind Trump and golf, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me which golfer's story shocked you the most. This is the kind of content YouTube does not want you to see, so your support keeps us going. Peter Kostis spent decades inside the ropes at the biggest tournaments in the world. He was a swing coach and a broadcaster for CBS Sports. He saw everything. And when he finally left CBS, he decided to speak freely about what he witnessed. Kostis went on a podcast and said he had seen Trump cheat on multiple occasions. But unlike Pettersen, who gave a general accusation, Kostis broke it down. He talked about putts that Trump called good from distances no real golfer would ever concede. He described lies in the rough that mysteriously improved when no one was looking. He even compared Trump to Patrick Reed, a PGA Tour player who became infamous for bending the rules. For Kostis, this was not about politics. It was about the soul of the game. Golf is supposed to reveal your character. It shows who you really are when nobody is watching. And according to Kostis, Trump failed that test over and over again. The power of Kostis speaking out came from his credibility. He was not some random guy with an axe to grind. He was a professional observer. His job was to see what the cameras missed, and what what he saw was a pattern of behavior that violated everything golf stands for. What makes Costas different from other critics is his technical expertise. He understands the mechanics of the swing and the geometry of the course better than almost anyone. When he says a putt was not good from a certain distance, he knows exactly what he is talking about. When he describes a lie improving in the rough, he can tell you precisely how much advantage that provides. His testimony was not emotional, it was analytical, and that made it impossible to dismiss. Costas also understood the unwritten rules of golf better than most. These are the customs and courtesies that separate the game from other sports. Giving putts is a gesture of respect and sportsmanship, but there are limits. You give a putt when it is truly unmissable. When someone starts taking advantage of that generosity, they are violating a sacred trust. Costas saw Trump exploiting these traditions repeatedly. The comparison to Patrick Reed was particularly cutting. Reed had become a pariah on tour for rules violations that other players considered beyond the pale. By putting Trump in the same category, Costas was saying something profound. He was arguing that wealth and power do not exempt you from the moral standards of the game. If anything, they make your violations worse because you are using your advantages to corrupt the sport itself. Tom Watson is golf royalty. 8 major championships, 5 British Open titles. When he talks, people listen. Watson loves the game more than almost anyone alive, and that love is exactly why he could not ignore what was happening. After the January 6th riots at the Capitol, Watson joined the chorus demanding that the PGA of America move the 2022 PGA Championship away from Trump's Bedminster course. The organization listened. They stripped the event from Trump's property. It was a massive public rebuke, but Watson's anger went deeper than one tournament. He wrote an open letter to the PGA Tour about their proposed merger with the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Trump was a huge supporter of LIV Golf, the Saudi-backed league trying to destroy the PGA Tour. Watson's letter asked how anyone could look the families of September 11th victims in the eye while doing business with the Saudis. Watson saw Trump's involvement as a betrayal of everything golf should represent. The game is supposed to have integrity. It is supposed to stand for something beyond money and power. Watson demanded that the institutions of golf distance themselves from Trump, not just physically, morally. His message was clear. Golf had to choose between its values and its business interests, and Tom Watson was not going to let them pretend there was no choice to make. The weight of Watson's criticism came from his legacy. This was not a young player trying to make headlines. This was a man who had given his entire life to the game. Watson represented old-school values: honor, respect, doing the right thing even when it cost you something. When someone like that tells you that you have lost your way, you cannot ignore it. Beth Daniel became a lightning rod in 2017 when the United States Women's Open was scheduled at Trump National Bedminster. The timing could not have been worse. The Access Hollywood tape was still fresh. Allegations of sexual misconduct against Trump were everywhere in the news. And now the best female golfers in the world were being forced to compete on his property. Daniel called it a black eye for the game, and she did not hold back. She accused the USGA of abandoning the players and leaving them to face questions about Trump instead of questions about their golf. The women were put in an impossible position: show up and play, or boycott and damage your career. Daniel argued that the USGA had no business associating with Trump's brand, not after everything that had come out about his treatment of women. The optics were terrible. The message it sent was worse. It told female athletes that their dignity mattered less than a contract with a golf course owner. The tournament went forward, but Daniel made sure everyone knew the cost. The LPGA and the USGA took a credibility hit that day, and Beth Daniel was the one who made them pay for it. Rory McIlroy is one of the biggest stars in golf. He plays on the global stage. He represents the modern game, and for a while he tried to stay neutral about Trump. In early 2017, McIlroy even played a round of golf with the president. He called it respect for the office. The backlash was instant. People called him a fascist. They called him a bigot. McIlroy said it felt like guilt by association. He realized that being anywhere near Trump came with a price. But at first, he stayed diplomatic. Then came the pandemic. McIlroy watched Trump's response to COVID-19 and something broke. He went on a podcast and unleashed. He said Trump was trying to turn the virus into a political weapon. He accused him of using public health briefings as campaign rallies. McIlroy said it was not the way a leader should act. There was supposed to be diplomacy. There was supposed to be responsibility. And Trump showed neither. The interviewer asked if McIlroy would ever play golf with Trump again. His answer was definitive. No, out of choice. McIlroy was done. He had seen enough. This was not just another celebrity taking a shot at Trump. This was one of the most powerful voices in golf saying the relationship was over. McIlroy used his platform to call out a leadership failure that he believed perceived cost lives. And he refused to stay quiet just because he hit a golf ball for a living. Christina Kim never had the luxury of staying quiet. As a Korean American woman in a sport that struggles with diversity, she knew what it felt like to be on the outside. And when Trump's rhetoric ramped up during his presidency, Kim became a warrior on social media. She did not just criticize Trump, she went after the culture he created. She called out the anti-immigrant language. She fought back against the hate speech that seemed to explode during his time in office. And she paid a price for it. Kim got into public fights with other players who supported Trump. One particularly nasty exchange with Brittany Lincecum exposed the deep divide inside the LPGA locker room. Kim called the actions of golf's governing bodies disgusting. She said it was bull hockey. She believed that embracing Trump's brand was a betrayal of everything the sport claimed to stand for. But the worst part was the personal toll. Kim talked openly about receiving death threats. She dealt with trolls who attacked her constantly. The culture wars turned her life into a battlefield. For Christina Kim, opposing Trump was not a political game. It was about survival. It was about defending her identity in a sport that did not always want her there. Brandel Chamblee is a Golf Channel analyst with a reputation for being brutally honest. And for years, he was one of Trump's fiercest critics. Chamblee did not attack Trump directly at first. He went after LIV Golf, the Saudi-backed league that Trump championed. Chamblee called it sports washing. He said it was using golf to clean up the reputation of a regime responsible for human rights abuses. Trump hosted LIV events at his courses. He told PGA Tour players to take the money and jump ship. Chamblee saw this as an existential threat to everything he loved about the game. He called LIV's format laughable. He said anyone who joined was complicit in evil. His language was harsh and uncompromising. But then something strange happened. In early 2025, Chamblee played golf with Trump. And after that round, everything changed. Chamblee admitted that Trump changed his mind. The president convinced him that the Saudis were not just sports washing. Trump argued that they genuinely loved the game. He pointed to the massive oil wealth and said the alliance was inevitable. He told Chamblee to look farther into the future, and Chamblee folded. The man who spent years raging against the merger suddenly supported it. This was not a victory for integrity. It was a cautionary tale. It showed how proximity to power can erode even the strongest principles. Chamblee's reversal revealed the uncomfortable truth that in golf, moral outrage often dies when the checks start clearing. These 7 golfers stood up when it mattered. They risked friendships and sponsorships. They faced backlash and threats. Suzanne Pedersen and Peter Kostis made sure the word cheater would follow Trump forever. Tom Watson and Beth Daniel forced major championships off his courses. Rory McIlroy and Christina Kim showed that athletes do not have to shut up and play. And Brandel Chamblee's collapse reminded everyone that even the loudest voices can be bought. Golf is supposed to be a gentleman's game, but nothing about this fight was gentle. It exposed the fault lines running through the sport. Money versus morality. Tradition versus progress. Silence versus speaking out. The resistance mattered. It created a permanent record. It proved that not everyone in golf was willing to bow down, but the forces they fought against are still winning. The PGA Tour is moving toward a merger with Saudi investment. Trump's influence in the sport is stronger than ever. The question now is what comes next. Will younger players find the courage to speak up when they see something wrong? Or will they learn from Chamblee's example and keep their heads down? Golf has always prided itself on being a sport of honor, but honor means nothing if nobody is willing to defend it. These 7 golfers proved that the fight is worth having. These 7 golfers showed us that standing up is possible, but they also showed us the cost. And in the end, the question is not whether they were right. The question is whether anyone else will have the courage to follow their lead. If this video opened your eyes to the truth, smash that like button and let me know in the comments which of these 7 stories hit you the hardest. Golf is more than just a game. It is a reflection of who we are. And these golfers reminded us that sometimes you have to choose a side.